Hello and welcome to the Oikos Family Podcast. I'm Sonja Wood. Thank you for joining me. In today's podcast, I would like to share with you a short story from The King's Daughter and Other Short Stories for Girls. I mentioned in the previous podcast of the value that we found and gained from these short stories. Consequently, I narrated the book, and it's got about approximately 40 stories in it, short stories and little poems and so on. But the value of these stories to us was extremely rich and good and wholesome. Good old-fashioned literature with wonderful morals and opportunities of stories that we can read aloud and then use the content to help us in our parenting and help us to teach a lesson, or just for a child to listen to it on their own, and just the little seeds to be sprinkled in their hearts, and hopefully it will support them in their journey through life. So I'm going to share one of those short stories here in today's podcast, and I hope you enjoy it. And I hope if one of your children is listening to it, or if you think of a friend or somebody that you think it might be supportive to or helpful for, that is the point. I hope it will be helpful and that you will enjoy it. So thank you for joining me and enjoy the story. A Girl's Song. At the time of the terrible accident a year or two ago at the coal mines near Scranton Pen, several men were buried for 3 days, and all efforts to rescue them proved unsuccessful. The majority of the miners were Germans. They were in a state of intense excitement. Sympathy for the wives and children of the buried men, and despair at their own fruitless efforts, had rendered them almost frantic. A great mob of ignorant men and women assembled at the mouth of the mine on the evening of the third day, in a condition of high nervous tension, which fitted them for any mad act. A sullen murmur arose that it was folly to dig further, that the men were certain to be dead, and this was followed by cries of rage at the rich mine owners. A hasty word or gesture might have produced an outbreak of fury, but standing near me was a little German girl, perhaps 11 years old. Her pale face and frightened glances from side to side showed that she fully understood the danger of the moment. Suddenly, with a great effort, she began to sing in a hoarse whisper, which could not be heard. Then she gained courage, and her sweet, childish voice rang out in Luther's grand old hymn, familiar to every German from his cradle: "A mighty fortress is our God." There was silence like death. Then one voice joined the girls, and presently another, and another, until from the whole great multitude rose the solemn cry, "With force of arms we nothing can, full soon are we overridden. But for us fights the godly man, whom God himself hath bidden. Ask ye his name? Christ Jesus is his name." A great quiet seemed to fall upon their hearts. They resumed their work with fresh zeal, and before morning the joyful cry came from the pit that the men were found, alive. Never was a word more in season than that child's hymn.